Welcome back to the Tool Crib. Today we are going to be talking about an electronic device. This is the all-new Apple Watch Series 6. Now there are a lot of tech channels out there, and some of them are really good at what they do that get into all the nuanced differences of all the new electronics that come out on a monthly basis. That's really not what I'm going to be talking about. I'm going to be talking about the Apple Watch Series 6 from a blue-collar perspective and how the Apple Watch actually makes my day more productive. This, for me, is a tool, and I get a lot of use out of the Apple Watch. Now, if you've watched my channel for any length of time, you'll no doubt know that I carry or have used an Apple Watch for many years. I started out with the Apple Watch Series 3 when LTE first entered the Apple Watch. That was really the game changer for me, and I'll explain why here shortly. So today's model that we're looking at is the 44 millimeter. This is the stainless steel version with the sapphire glass. And I'm going to talk about why I personally believe that the Apple Watch is an incredibly useful tool. And if you're already in the Apple ecosystem, why you may want to consider getting your first Apple Watch, or why you might want to consider upgrading to one of the newer versions. Let's get into it. So first, let me tell you why I'm upgrading. It wasn't necessarily because I needed to or wanted to. It was because my hand was kind of forced. So about a month ago, I was in a pit and I was welding, and I just happened to turn in the wrong. I was in very tight quarters. I just happened to turn the wrong way, and as I was repositioning, I ended up touching the Apple Watch with the end of a hot welding rod, and that is what cracked this sapphire glass. It was negligence on my own part which caused it. This watch has held up incredibly well. Still, after 3 years, I get almost 2 full days worth of battery life. Now, granted, I'm not sitting on my watch all day, every day, looking stuff up or playing with apps or playing games. I actually am using it for information, mostly for texts, emails, stuff of that nature. This is the reason that I'm upgrading to the Apple Watch Series 6. Now, when the Apple Watch first came out, I considered it more of a fashion statement than I did something that was actually going to be truly useful. It wasn't until the Series 3 came out with the LTE that I finally took the dive to go ahead and purchase my first one, because I felt like it was going to be useful to me. And the reason why is because with LTE, it gave you the ability to use your Apple Watch. Granted, the battery life will drain quite a bit faster, but you didn't have to be paired with your phone. Now, as a millwright, oftentimes I'll find myself several hundred feet in the air, tied off in full body harness, and in those situations, you just cannot feasibly carry your phone with you. And then you run the risk of dropping a $1,000 phone 200 feet to the concrete. Nothing good is going to become of that. So there are certain instances where I just could not have my phone, but I definitely needed to keep in touch with people. I get emails and texts all the time. Now, most of them I don't need to respond to right away, but occasionally I'll have one come in that definitely does need a response right away, whether that be a problem that we've had on a job site or one that we're currently working on. So that was when I got into the Apple Watch. Now, again, originally I thought they were more of a fashion statement, and frankly, my Citizen, I think, is a lot more classy than the Apple Watch. But, you know, to each their own, right? Now, there are a lot of useful apps on the Apple Watch, but I want to go over the ones that are most important to me and how it makes my day more productive. So the three main ones are the email, messages, and phone. Being able to stay connected even when you cannot have your phone with you. And instances, like I mentioned before, where I'm tied up a couple hundred feet in a safety harness and I don't have the ability to carry my phone. There's also been many instances where I'm in a plant that does not allow you to carry a phone, not necessarily because they don't want you to be able to talk to people, it's because they don't want you taking pictures of whatever machinery or equipment or product that they're making in those particular plants. And so being able to stay connected in those instances has been, the Apple Watch has really changed the game with that as well. Now, the last one that I keep on the watch face that I really like or really get a lot of use out of is the calculator. So taking measurements on the job site, being able to spit out an off-the-cuff quote just immediately, been a real game changer for me as well. I like to keep my watch in the modular mode. I know there's a lot of different watch faces, but I use my watch more as a tool. And so being able to get, quick access with this modular watch face, you have a quick glance to the date, the time, and the weather. And the weather is a big part of construction. Knowing what the weather is going to do is going to determine what you're going to be able to get done in a certain day. So being able to see that at a glance, whether or not bad weather is coming, is also very, very advantageous. And the fact that you can see it at a glance just makes it's just a time saver is what it is. Now, the next one that I really get a lot of use out of, and I may have gone over this one already, but the navigation alerts because I travel across the country a lot, and so when I'm traveling, being able to get navigation alerts on my watch, while it's not necessary because I usually have my phone right there, is actually kind of handy, especially when you are fixing to come up to turns and stuff. Just being able to know at a glance what you need to do or which direction you need to go. Very, very helpful. I also keep up with the news a lot. Being able to get news alerts for the headline stories that come across, that is not really as far as, production-wise, but I do like to keep up with current events, and being able to get those news alerts on your watch, very, very helpful. The next thing that I really like is the Apple Pay. Originally I didn't start out using Apple Pay when it first came out, but Apple Pay is getting more, and you're finding it in more and more places, and it is extremely, extremely helpful. You're just a little bit quicker. You're in and out of places a lot faster. You're not fumbling around for credit cards. It really makes things nice. I also like to keep track of my movements throughout the day. So your activity tracker lets you know, how far you walked, or, what your heart rate is, stuff of that nature. That is very, very helpful as well. Not necessarily work related, but it just helps me keep track of what I've done in any given day. Now, again, some of the health apps, while I don't necessarily have a big need for those at the moment, I'm sure as time goes on, those are going to become more and more valuable to me. Now, one of the things that changed in the Apple Watch 5 was the fact that they added always on display. And in the Apple Watch 6, they made that even a little bit brighter. I don't necessarily need that. I left it on here for this video, but I don't necessarily use that. I would prefer that it just shut off like the old ones did. In fact, you can turn it off, and when I get done here, I'm going to be turning mine off because I like to preserve battery life. That is one of the biggest advantages to the Apple Watch 6, though, is the 18 hours of battery life. Now, that's 18 hours of usage. On the Apple Watch Series 3, I was still getting 2 full days of battery before I'm down under 10% before I had to charge it. So I hope to see, and I've only had this for, I just put it together last night, or undid it last night. So I haven't had enough time to know how it's going to run without being charged. So hopefully the battery life will be an even bigger improvement over what previous generations were. And especially I should see a notable difference over the Apple Watch Series 3. But most importantly, without doubt, the reason why the Apple Watch is one of the best tools I own is because it saves me time. And time translates to money. That is, when they first came out, I really felt like they were more of that fashion statement kind of thing and not really that useful. But once LTE came out, and once I found or saw the benefit to getting an Apple Watch at that point, that's when I started realizing all of the other things that come with the Apple Watch that make it a very, very, very useful tool. My name is Ben. You've been watching the Texas Tool Crib, and this is some of the many reasons why I think that if you are not in the Apple ecosystem, why you may want to be, but mostly for those that already are. If you don't own an Apple Watch, I just want to impress upon you how useful the Apple Watch really, truly is. My name is Ben. You've been watching the Texas Tool Crib. I appreciate your views, and I'll see you in the next one.